Our final category for induction is the builders category. Now, the builders category includes pretty much everybody we haven't covered so far tonight. Non-playing team personnel, coaches, management, support staff, league and association people, and administrators. And with builders, there's no need to be, if people are thinking of nominating people, no need to be inactive or anything. You can be active as a builder, as a coach, as a manager, and still be nominated for the Hall of Fame. Our first inductee in the builders sector has had a profound effect on the development of women's field lacrosse, both in her home province of Ontario and nationally, for over 40 years. She played box lacrosse for 2 years before, at the age of 19, switching to the field game. With her talent for and love of running, it was a game seemingly made for her, and she excelled from the get-go. She was an integral part of Canada's surprising bronze medal winning team at the inaugural Women's World Cup in 1982, and played on Team Canada tours to Britain and the Eastern U.S. in 1984 and 85. She continued to play on Ontario's provincial team until 1988, winning 3 silver and 2 bronze medals, before focusing on coaching. She coached the provincial team from 1989 to 97, earning 4 gold, 4 silver, and 1 bronze medal. And in 1989 was named assistant coach of Canada's national team for the World Cup in Perth, Australia. She was head coach of Team Canada at the 1993 competition in Scotland, finishing in 4th place. An educator by trade, she was one of the driving forces behind the introduction and development of women's lacrosse in Ontario high schools. She began coaching at R.S. McLaughlin High School in 1985, and in 1989 founded the annual High School Lacrosse Jamboree, which she convened for 16 years. She coached at several other schools and won the Lake Ontario Secondary School Association Championship 6 times, and the Trillium Cup, emblematic of the provincial title, twice. While coaching at both the high school and national level, she was heavily involved in the development of the women's lacrosse section of the National Coaching Certification Program, and subsequently was a Level 1 and a Level 2 course conductor from 1990 to 95. Seeing a need for grassroots development, she founded the Oshawa Lady Blue Knights Lacrosse Club in 2000 and has continued as executive director for 24 years. Under her direction, the Lady Knights have over 500 girls playing house league and rep lacrosse and have won 57 provincial titles at the rep level. Even with all this going on, she's found time to serve on the Ontario Women's Field Lacrosse Executive as Discipline Review Chairperson and Director of Development. In 1999, in recognition of her contributions, she was inducted into the Ontario Lacrosse Hall of Fame. She received the Ontario Women's Field Lacrosse Roots of the Game Award in 2000, the IWFLA, which is the International Federation of Women's Lacrosse Associations, got it out, Recognition Award in 2007, and was inducted into the Oshawa Sports Hall of Fame in 2010. This was followed by Lacrosse Canada's Lester B. Pearson Award for outstanding contributions in lacrosse sportsmanship and leadership. A builder of the game in the truest sense, we welcome Barb Boys to the Hall of Fame.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow inductees and honored guests. What an honor it is to be part of the class of 2024. You know, I've been thinking about it, and I can't help wonder how this shy, timid kid growing up on a farm in Pickering, Ontario found her way to this evening. Back then, when I was a kid, I was so obsessed with sports, and I watched everything I could possibly find on TV. If you remember Wide World of Sports, you'll know the time frame. Anyone who knows me, there was nothing better to me than watching my beloved Maple Leafs. In fact, I thought I was going to play for them one day. I dreamt it, and it seemed as real could be to me. I now know that watching athletes compete back then in those days shaped my future in sport. Regardless of the sport or my role, I became like a dog with a bone. I was so focused, so determined, so confident, and yes, a little stubborn and a little relentless. And like the athletes I watched, I wanted to be just like them, the best that I could possibly be. As time went on, you could imagine my disappointment coming to the sad realization that playing for the Leafs was likely not going to happen. But I certainly was thrilled when I read an article in the local paper about the Whitby Blades girls hockey tryouts. I remember, though, my heart sinking when I learned that the home games were on Sundays at noon. That was church time. I knew it was going to be difficult to convince my parents to let me play hockey instead of going to church. But after pleading relentlessly with them over and over, they finally gave in and my hockey dream was going to become a reality. It wasn't the Leafs, but believe me, it was the next best thing. Little did I realize, though, how important those negotiating skills that I used with my parents would become handy in my future. Many of my teammates at the time also played box lacrosse, and it didn't take much convincing for them to convince me to give it a try. My lacrosse journey began at the outdoor box on Gerrard Road in Whitby. After only 2 seasons of playing box lacrosse, I was invited to try out for Ontario Women's Field Lacrosse team. I couldn't believe it. Wow, I was so excited. Team Ontario, are you kidding me? There was no way I was not going to make that team. What I lacked in experience, I planned to make up for by being the most focused, most determined, and hardest working athlete there. And my plan worked. I made the Ontario team in 1978 and then later Team Canada in 1982. My experience as an athlete provided the framework for becoming a confident leader. As my playing days wound down, transitioning into coaching and administration felt like the natural next step. I embraced the challenge, just like when I played, with the same competitive spirit. It was my experience as a coach for Team Ontario and later Team Canada that really triggered something in me. Ontario finishing second or third to BC at national championships. Yes, that Hall of Fame team that won 11 straight consecutive titles. And then at the international level, the U.S. was dominating. And if we were ever going to challenge to be the best or challenge the best, we needed to get serious about grassroots development. So together, Joanne Stanga and we began planning player clinics, which eventually led to so much more. Joanne went on to establish the Ontario Women's Field Lacrosse League, while I focused on building a high school league. Both of these initiatives continue to thrive today, I'm proud to say. The real turning point, though, came in the late 90s. I was walking the picket line again during a province-wide teacher strike and found myself daydreaming about what else other than lacrosse in the Durham region. We needed a club program to compete in the Ontario Women's Field Lacrosse League. In my daydream, it wasn't going to be just any club, it was going to be the best one. At the time, the Oshawa Blue Knights was already an established and well-respected field lacrosse club for boys, and they won a lot, which of course was attractive to me. I wanted to establish a local program for girls field, and taking on the Blue Knight name just seemed like it made sense. It was a good place to start. That then meant a call to Terry Lloyd to pitch the idea. Terry's first comment was, "Barb, come on, how much money are you asking for?" I laughed and assured him it wasn't about money, it was only about sharing the name. Terry suggested we call ourselves the Lady Blue Knights, following the example of many U.S. colleges. That made sense to me, and so in 2000, the Lady Blue Knights were born. I'd been thinking about it for a long time and had a clear vision for what it would take to build a successful program. Just like when I was an athlete, that dog with a bone mentality kicked into gear. From there on, it was game on. We started with a small house league, only 45 girls, but we waited until there was a solid foundation of numbers, and we felt ready to compete for a championship before launching our first rep teams in 2003. That year, our U15s went on to win provincial gold. So from there, our numbers continued to increase, so did our skill development, and our program's reputation then grew. Over the past 24 years, Lady Blue Knights have captured 62 provincial championships, 4 Ontario Summer Games championships, and have had over 70 players playing in the NCAA, many more in the OUA, and a membership base currently close to 500. What, though, has been the most rewarding for me is seeing so many of our LBK players who started out as youngsters, around 4 and 5 years old. who are now young adults giving back to the club as coaches, instructors, organizers. It's a trend that I know will continue to keep LBK on the leading edge. Giving back to the game and providing opportunities for young female athletes has always been important to me because of the absolute profound impact the sport has had on my life. Lacrosse has given me so much: a competitive spirit, wonderful life experiences, personal growth, world travel, and lasting friendships. From a small house league, we became a community. Our players, parents, and volunteers embraced what I call the LBK way, which is a commitment to hard work, dedication, and excellence. We kept pushing ourselves, continually raising standards and expectations. I felt extremely fortunate to be surrounded by so many hardworking, dedicated people, and proud that together we built LBK into the largest and most successful women's lacrosse program, field lacrosse program in Canada. I'm incredibly grateful to all of those who were a part of shaping the Lady Blue Knights. If it hadn't been for coaches Paul Gilkinson and Ron McSpadgen and the rest of the staff for selecting me to that first ever Women's Field Team Ontario, my lacrosse days, they would have begun and ended at that Gerard Road box. So thank you both for starting me on what has been an absolute incredible journey. Tonight, of course, is definitely the pinnacle. Congratulations to everyone in the class of 2024. I'm proud to be honored alongside you. To the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame Board of Directors and the Selection Committee, I am truly honored and very respectful of the fact that you have seen me as deserving of this honor. Thank you for making this such a memorable and cherished experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barb boys.